Welcome back to Comics with Drew. This is Drew on a new microphone. Hopefully I do not hopefully I don't sound like I'm in a bathroom or locked in a giant Tupperware container or in a very bad cell area. So anyway, I did a live stream the other day, and I went an hour in the stream not realizing that I sounded horrifying, and then I had a guest, J-Bot. He's a great guy. He joined the stream and didn't say anything about it. And I wonder if maybe he didn't say anything about it because of the fact that he's used to me sounding like that. So I switched up my AirPods, and which is what I typically use for any kind of live stream. And when I record my videos, I just record straight from the mic on the iPhone, which is what I record everything with. So, I didn't know anything was different. And so I do have an old lavalier mic, and it is over there on the desk. But basically, it's this tiny little mic that clips onto your shirt. And so I switched it, and it sounded much better, but still sounded like trash, in my opinion. So I was like, screw this. I'm going to go buy a mic. And naturally, hey bot, hey J bot, how you doing, man? I'm glad it sounds good. You want to join? You want the link? I'll send you the link and we can chat. So, let's see here. I will send you the link. That deserves. Thank you for that. Like right here, right there. That's a nice comment. All right, invite, copy to clipboard, Twitter, messages, JBot, boom, copy and paste, enter. All right, come on in. Oh, you're out of town? Oh, okay. All right. Well, I sent you the link anyway. So, but anyway, so I said, I'm going to get a better mic because I've had enough of this garbage. This is ridiculous because I'm trying to build a channel, and no one's going to want to watch your videos if you can't actually be heard properly. So, I mean, not everybody can be Comics with Perch who can record his videos in a car and somehow come across really well. But I was like, all right, so I said, I'm gonna find out, what does Tim Pool or what does Joe Rogan use for a mic? Because I noticed if you ever watch Joe Rogan, he's always got like the mic, like he's always doing this with the mic. He's like do. He's always moving up and he moves around. And I was like, okay, I like that mic. What's going on with that mic? So when I looked at it, and it's a $400 mic. It's like a Shure. It's SHURE. It's a Shure 17 or something or the other. And I was like, I got the cash. I could splurge on it, but I'm like, damn, it's just a mic, dude. I mean, do I really want to drop 400 plus? And plus, on top of that, not only is it $400, you have to get an audio interface to connect to it. So I forget exactly. It's an LVR DV. I forget exactly what it was, but it's far more technical that I care to get involved with. And I was like, dang, I don't really want to get an amp or something like that for a microphone. And so everybody can be perched. That is, everyone will be asleep. Not wrong. No, I like Perch. Perch is funny. But actually, Perch is what got me into manga, which is maybe not a good thing. But anyway, so I looked at this mic and I'm like, this is crazy. So actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull up. It's a Shure SM7B is the microphone, and let's go to Amazon, and let's sign out of my account so I don't dox myself because that would suck. Can I sign? Would you mind signing out? There we go. I'm going to sign on out. Boom. And then we're just going to go back to Amazon. Amazon. True. I always wanted to sound like I was on some smooth jazz radio station. Anyway, okay, so my God, it's like I don't want to be signed into any account. I don't want to be signed into my account. I don't want to be signed into my wife's account. Can you just give me an effing blank Amazon page, please? Would that be okay? Thank you. Goodness gracious. Sure. SM7B. So if you want to know, and we will share the screen. Boom. Share screen. And we will share window. And we will share Amazon. There you go. You should be looking at. Okay, great. So this mic right here, this is what Joe Rogan uses, right? This is a sweet mic. You know, if you ever listen to his podcast, you know, he sounds perfect. And I was like, man, this is what I want to buy, but it's $400. And so, you know, I'm not, I wouldn't consider myself poor, but at the same time, one reason I'm not poor is because I don't spend $400 on microphones. So I was like, oh God, I got to get a better microphone, but I don't want to get like a Blue Yeti. Everybody's got a Blue Yeti. And so I was looking for reviews and I went to YouTube, and it's funny what you can find on YouTube. You can find so much on YouTube. You could learn how to take over the planet just by watching YouTube videos. It's crazy. People don't realize the amount of information that can be gleaned, an amount of knowledge that can be gleaned just from watching YouTube videos. It's out of control. So I watched the video, and I was watching a review of this mic and some other mics, and one of the comments said, I work at a radio station and this is the best mic that we use all the time. However, when we're short on mics or whatnot, our backup mic is this mic. This is a Samson Q2U. So this is the mic I wound up getting because it's like, well, you know, if a radio professional, he works at a radio station, if he says that this is a good mic, it must be a good mic. So here it is. Boom. This is the one I got. It's a Samson Q2U handheld dynamic USB microphone. But the thing about it is it's the XLR. That's what I was talking about. This also is XLR capable. So you can plug this in directly to your computer and use it as a mic, or you can get the XLR connector, which goes in here, like right there. Let's see, is there yeah, this connection this connection right here is an SLR connectivity, a cable link, and this allows you to do magical things with your audio. So people use this for recording podcasts and stuff. And so it's like, you know what, this looks cool. Actually, you know, I was watching an Eric Weather stream, and apparently he's taken to doing streams with Vaughn with wearing sunglasses. Maybe he does this all the time, but anyway, so they look like they look like Kenny Loggins. They both look like Kenny Loggins. It's weird. A cross between Kenny Loggins and the Critical Drinker. So, but anyway, so it looked like Weathers was using a microphone that looked like this, only it was like a silver one. And so I said, okay, so if Weathers uses it and it looks good, and a professional in an audio industry uses it and he says it's good, it must be good. So what I like about it is that you know, it's got the standard you know, it comes with a stand here, but it's also got the ability to take it off, and you can put it on like a crane, and then you can move it around if you want. But for my purposes, for right now, this is just fine. So I just wanted to test this out and make sure it works. And you know, I did a recording of all the different sound inputs I've been using. So I did a recording, a countdown on the AirPods. I did a countdown on the lavalier mic, and I did a countdown on this, and it's like night and day. It's crazy how much better it sounds. So I'm super excited. This is like one of those things, like when you're building a YouTube channel, you don't really think about, you know, what goes into making yourself sound good. And that's the other thing I want to talk about is that, you know, when you're trying to build a channel, you want to stand out. So I see a lot of people, they clearly are shooting in their living room or their bedroom, and you've got all their bedroom and all that crap and behind them, and it's like, that works, I guess. But you know what works better, I think, is when someone takes the effort to make their background look a little bit more professional. So, a lot of people have like background stuff. Like I've got my bookshelf here with all my comic stuff right over there. But I use this wall right here just as like a blank canvas, so I can just like put up, comic images and stuff like that. And I think that looks better. But the next thing I'm going to be looking at doing is maybe getting some lighting and making it look a little bit more atmospheric. So I was watching Eric July's stream where he's talking about PayPal and PayPal holding the money and all that stuff. And I was really trying to study the way it looked. I didn't really care so much what he was talking about, but he didn't just get 500,000 subscribers by talking into the mic. So it's all about the presentation. It's not just the mic. A lot of people won't even look at your stream if it doesn't look cool in the first place. And so I want to make sure that I keep trying to make it look cool. So, there's only so much you can do with a draw stream because, it's you drawing. So it's your talent that's on display. And, if people like what you're drawing, then they'll watch it. If you sound like garbage, like I've been sounding like, then they'll be less likely to watch it. So I've got the garbage part taken care of. So, maybe I haven't got the garbage part with my art done yet. So we'll see. But, always be self-deprecating. That's always a good trait to have, I think. But if you can laugh at yourself, you can get along with just about anybody. Anyway, so, but July's got an overlay on his live stream. And so I was looking at that, and I do graphic design work. I am professionally trained as a graphic designer, even though that's not what my chosen profession is and not what my major degree is in. But anyway, but I know art and stuff like that. And so I was like, oh, I can do an overlay. I don't really like his, but I see how there's a lot of detail and care put into his overlay. And then he's got a professional mic, right? And or a nice mic, and he usually wears a headset. So I'm not so sure. I'm wearing like a standard Apple like standard cable buds plugged into the mic here, just so I can hear myself, make sure I don't sound like an imbecile, which is failing because I always sound like an imbecile. I mean, geez, at least I sound good as an imbecile. So maybe that's the if I can get this eyelash on, that'd be nice. Anyway, it doesn't matter if you're an imbecile as long as you sound good as an imbecile. Very good point to have. Think very, very good to be mindful of that. So anyway, yeah. So I was noticing that, it's like, if I want to build a channel, I need to make sure I invest in some production. And one of those things was going back and forth, trying to figure out whether I wanted to, get a mic. I mean, am I doing enough live streams? But then I decided, I'm going to do a live stream at least once a week. And if I'm going to do it once a week, then I need to make sure I have, the proper, live stream account with StreamYard to do what I want to do. And then I need to make sure I don't sound like an idiot. So, but anyway, so I got the mic today, super excited about it. And I thought I would do a live stream on it and chat with people. So thanks JBot for stopping by. And if anybody else wants to chat or ask me questions or want to join the stream, you can do that. In fact, actually, why don't I put the stream out there and see what we got going on. Oh, well, JBot's already done that. Thank you, sir. That was very nice of you. Boom. I should make you a wrench. You want to be my first wrench? Quote, retweet. All right. How do I make a wrench on my channel? Let's go over to the YouTube box. Not that window. Let's go to this other window. And and this is learning on the fly dashboard. Oh, by the way, I got to 221 subscribers. That was awesome. I was not expecting that. Also, I've been doing YouTube shorts. I've been doing like these 15-second comic reviews, and I know that TikTok's addicting to people. And actually, it's funny because I will make you a wrench, JBot, as soon as I can figure out how to do it. But I was wondering why all of a sudden we had these YouTube shorts that look like TikTok videos. And so I looked into it, and apparently TikTok was banned in India for a very good reason, because, the Chinese government basically has access to all the data that you are uploading on your TikTok videos. So they know what you watch. They know your biometric data that you're logging in with. It's horrifying, and really, you should not be using TikTok. To be perfectly honest with you. So, but India and the United States was going to ban TikTok. In fact, President Trump was going to ban TikTok. In fact, was about ready to do it, but obviously, Biden won the election, and so Biden's like, "Oh yeah, I'll let you do whatever you want. We're not going to ban anything with the Chinese." So I'm like, "All right, fine," but I still don't think you should use TikTok because it's everybody that looks at it says don't use TikTok. That from a security standpoint. Anyway, India banned TikTok, and so YouTube was like, "Well, if India's going to ban TikTok, and TikTok is huge, maybe we should do YouTube Shorts like TikTok Shorts." And so they did that, and they're crushing it. I mean, it's just blowing up in India. And so because it was doing so well in India, they said, "Well, why don't we expand it to, other areas and other territories?" And so they did that. And so when they did that, let's see. Okay, I have JBot here. Put user in timeout. No, I don't want to put user in time. Add moderator. Boom. There you go. You are now a moderator. Do you have a wrench now? Go ahead and chat and see if you've got a wrench. You'd be my first wrench. You never forget your first. Anyway, I'll wait for that to go. But we're going to mute this and live. Okay. Anyway, so I was like, you know what? The shorts would be good. One of the things try to get monetized. There's a lot of stuff you got to do. You got to get enough. I think you got to get 1,000 viewing hours within 12 months. Boom. Yes. Congratulations. I'm going to chat here. I dub the Sir Bot moderator of comics with Drew. So there you go. You're an L there. And anyway, oh, that's cool. So I'm watching it. So now it looks like it's counting me as watching on stream. Fascinating. So anyway, yeah. So I looked at it and I was like, well, how do you make a YouTube short? Because I didn't know. And then you can look at channels and you can watch it on the standard browser. And so apparently you do it on your phone. So I made a couple of reviews of the of different comics that were 15-second reviews. I thought I'd just do kind of off the wall, very brief reviews. And so consequently, they seem to be doing well. So, let me see if I can I show this? Let's see here. File, new private window. Right. And I'll show this if I can. Comics. All right. Let's go look at the videos. And let's go look at videos. All right. So here's the thing. I'm gonna share the screen. Stop screen and share screen and share screen and window comics of Drew. Boom. All right. So I did these. I went through and I did like 5 15-second shorts because the short's going to be up to a minute. I just like, brevity is the soul of wit. So I did 15 seconds and, it's funny because they kind of take off pretty fast. And so I got 233 views on my ASM1 10-second review in which I said that you should just buy a toilet paper roll. It's the same level of bad. And then I did a another one for Amazing Spider-Man #2, which I flushed the toilet. And, but as you can see here, I mean, 233 views, 17 views for the draw stream, right? But 233 views for me telling you that Spider-Man is trash. And then I did a join me on Wednesday for live streams, 121. And then, 81 again for ASM2, 68 for Mind Management 1, and 87 for Mindset number 1. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, if you can build, if this can go towards your partner program numbers, then this would be awesome. So I looked into that, and it does not. So if you want to make these YouTube shorts, they're not going to help you build your channel in terms of applying it to the partner program. So the partner program is how you get monetized. So you have to get 1,000 subscribers, I believe. Pretty sure you need to get 1,000 subscribers, but you also need to get like 1,000 viewed hours within 12 months, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, it's not easy to do, which is another thing. I wonder why independent comic book artists or comic creators or Comicscape people, they get their channels up to like 1,200, 1,100, 1,200, 1,300, and then they get mad and then they stop, because when you are at that level of when you're actually at that level of growth on your channel, you can start making money with the channel, right? So you can do live streams and people can give you super chats and stuff like that. And that's a big deal. So you can make a lot of money. And let me rephrase that. The, different people have different definitions of what a lot of money is. To me, if you're making enough money to, go buy a mic, or if you're making enough money to, buy comic books to talk about, or you're making enough money to go get yourself a coffee at Starbucks, which would be a lot of money. Then, I mean, you're doing pretty well there. You're doing pretty good. So, and furthermore, if you have 1,000 subscribers to your channel, then that's enough to get a crowdfund done. So that's enough to get, I mean, all you really need is like if you're doing like say you got a book out, right? And or a project and you're crowdfunding it at $25 and then you get say 300 people to back that, right? So what's the numbers on that? What's the math? I am an artist. I am not a mathematician. Damn it, Jim. Let's see here. What is it? 300 times 25. Okay, so say that's $7,500. That's enough to get a floppy produced. Okay, so especially if you aren't even if you're doing the art yourself, or you're doing even if you're doing a black and white, you can get an artist to do it and then make it a black and white comic book. Black and white comic books, by the way, are the punk rockest comic books. A lot of people don't really. They say, "Oh, I need to have a color comic book. It's got to be full color." I'm like, well, I mean, underground comics are cool and they're awesome. Like the most valuable comic book that I own is actually a black and white comic book. So it's a very rare comic book, but it's black and white. And so it's just nothing of the what I love about those types of comic books is that they're just basically they're the purest form of comic book, in my opinion. They are stories that are told sequentially through visual art that are good stories, and the book can't rely on awesome art. It just needs to rely on art that's good enough, and the story is what sells it. A lot of people probably don't realize that Walking Dead number one is black and white, and I don't know if the subsequent issues are black and white, but I do know that number one is black and white, and that's probably oh that is probably the most valuable comic book that has was released this century. So like as far as like, when you talk in terms of comics that are worth a lot of money that have come out in the last 22 years, I think Walking Dead is probably at least $10,000, a good copy of it. That's a CGC. So, and that's black and white book. So, if you have again, 1,000 members on your channel, 1,000 subs, and you put together a crowdfunding campaign, yeah, black and white comics rule. You're right, J-Bot. They absolutely do. Absolutely. Um, that's to me, that's the hardest core. That's the OGist. That's the original gangsterist way of doing it. Because to me, it's like that tells me that you're all about, you know, the love of the game, right? You're about the love of the comic, of the love of the art form. And if you're doing it for the love of the art form, that's when you can really expand your mind and you can really do things that break the rules. You can do stuff that is transcends typical comic fare, because it's not about the flashy. It's about the actual doing it because you want to do it, doing it because people aren't going to pay for it, necessarily. I mean, if you're doing crowdfund, hopefully you want people to pay for it. But if you're willing to make that book, if you are willing to go get it printed on Xerox machines and then fold it yourself and staple it yourself and then mail it to people, to me, that is the one of the coolest forms of comic book publishing that can exist, because who doesn't, who can't, I admire that. You don't need fancy stuff. A lot of people get upset. It's like, I don't have enough money to hire an artist, or I don't have enough money to do a colorist, or I don't have enough money to hire a writer. You don't necessarily need a lot of money. You just need people that are of the same mindset with you about things, and you can do very, very well. So anyway, unfortunately, YouTube Shorts do not go towards those viewer numbers. You can still do them, and they are working on monetization for them independently. So it's definitely worthwhile doing it. Obviously, TikTok does it very well. YouTube does it just as well, in my opinion. So, and also without the added baggage of communist Chinese government trying to invade your life. So there you go. But not that YouTube is super. What's the word I'm looking for? Magnanimous? No. Altruistic. That's the word I'm looking for. YouTube is not altruistic by any stretch of the imagination. But at least they're not the Chinese communists. Oh, geez. All right. It's time to take another drink of Coke Zero, my beverage of choice. Yeah. So, anyway, what else is up? Anybody else want to talk about anything? Let's see. There was a Shazam trailer that came out. I've yet to see that. Actually, today I went to a soccer game. I went to I'm an Orlando City Major League Soccer fan. The shorts may have brought a couple of subscribers, actually. I stepped away for a second. Did the shorts bring subscribers? I think they brought a couple of subscribers. Like I say, here I'm up at 221, which is nice. I was stuck at 219 for a while. And but the caveat to the shorts, and by the way, it looks like this logo here means that's a short. That's interesting. I did not know that. The shorts do not contribute to the monetization of the partner program, which is what it's called. The partner program is actually what monetization is. So, but they are working on independent YouTube shorts monetization. Presently, you have to be invited. So they're not just going to say, oh, you hit these metrics, boom, you've got money. No. Presently, you have to be invited to it. So if you're interested in doing shorts, if you want to do TikTok stuff, but you already have a YouTube channel, then yeah, go ahead and load up the application on your phone and go to town. So it's a lot of fun. Learning the way it works as far as the production of it is fun. So what I like about it is, like, you can start and stop recording. So you're on your phone, right? And then you flip it around to do a selfie. The majority of my time lapse art videos are shorts. Well, that's money for you right there, I think. Everybody loves watching time lapse stuff. So especially art. I thought, actually, I had this idea. I had this idea of a short where I attempt to draw something. And so comics Drew can Drew draw whatever in 15 seconds, and then I would scribble it out and I would record it, and then it would suck, probably intentionally, and then I would get like the sound effect and a big stamp that says fail. And so and I would make I think more and more elaborate types of things I might be trying to draw. So I thought that would be hilarious. So It's hilarious to me. So if it's funny to me, then hopefully there's got to be someone out there in the other 6 billion people on Earth that would also find it funny. Jbot says that's a good idea. Well, we'll see about that, won't we? Yeah. So, but the thing is that one of the stuff, one of the things I discovered with recording it is that it's cool because you start recording and then you can stop the recording and then that's already added to the video. So you can anything 30 seconds and under are shorts. Yes, I think it goes up to a minute. Actually, I think you can do a minute. So anyway, that's what was I saying? Lost my train of thought. Dang it. What was I talking about? Talking about drawing and shorts. Oh yeah. No, with editing, say you record, right? You can record yourself. You switch the camera to selfie and you're recording yourself, blah, 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 blah. And then you get done, you stop it, right? And then you can rearrange the camera and then film something else and then just press start and it continues recording. And so you can actually edit in real time, which is really cool. So you flip around like what I did with my latest review of the Spider-Man book is I said, hey, welcome back to Comics True. It's a 15-second review. And I'm reviewing and then boom, I switched it and then start recording the picture of the book. It's like Amazing Spider-Man #2. And then I paused it again and then I went to the bathroom and then I filmed myself flushing the toilet because oh my god, that's such a bad comic book. Oh god, it's a terrible comic book. So anyway, that's got how many 81 views. 81 views of my toilet being flushed on the internet. Life goals. So yeah. Anyway, so that's that. But you like the audio? It sounds much better, Jbot. Okay. I not sound like I'm in like a garbage compacting room on the Death Star. I don't want to sound like that. I don't know if you've ever paid attention when Luke and Han and Leia and Chewie are in the garbage compactor on the Death Star. That's I think the peak whiniest part of Luke Skywalker. He's screaming into this little communicator and he's screaming at C3PO, right? And he's like 3PO, 3PO. You know, it's not even C3PO, it's 3PO. And you can tell that Mark Hamill, baby Mark Hamill, is acting his ass off. he is screaming bloody murder into this thing. And it's I think it's the whiniest that Luke Skywalker ever sounds. By the way, you know, let's talk about some Star Wars stuff since I brought that up. That was convenient. One of the things that people complain about with Rey, right? Okay, by the way, I'm not one of these people. I hate Rey. I don't hate Rey Skywalker. God, Rey Skywalker. I don't hate the character Rey. See, I've already been sucked into it. But one of the big problems is that you know she's godlike from the get-go, right? She shows up in the desert. She eats like a some kind of blue milk cake thing, pastry thing, and then she meets I guess Finn, and then boom, out of nowhere, she's like, "Oh, I can do everything. I'm the bestest ever," you know. And we never hear Rey whine. And I think maybe if we ever heard Rey whining at some point in the movies, maybe we could have like a character arc for her, and you could actually root for her. So, but you know, let's all be perfectly honest and blunt. Luke Skywalker is a total bitch to start off with in A New Hope. So he's terrible. He's like, I'm gonna go to Tosche Station to get some power converters, and and his uncle his uncle's like, shut the hell up. Stop acting like a bitch, Luke. You're not going anywhere. You gotta do chores. on my moisture farm on a desert planet with two suns. So, why am I drawing a blank on Owen? Yeah, it's Owen. Yeah, Owen and Baru. I'm pretty sure. So, anyway, um, but there's my Star Trek or Star Wars rant. Star Trek, I'm a big Star Trek fan too. So Finn was the more reliable character. Finn was the more reliable character. But he was black, so that couldn't be like the big thing going forward on an international box office in China. See, that's the thing. People talk about woke Disney and all these woke Hollywood things, but they will bend over backwards not to offend the Chinese to get into that sweet, sweet box office. If you're not aware, China has a government limit on the amount of foreign films that can be released in that country. Foreign meaning non-Chinese made films, and so for whatever reason, the Chinese government has decided that they don't like African Americans or African people in their movies. And so famously Finn, who's one of the key component characters of that trilogy, is on the oops, relatable. That too. Anyway, Finn is he's prominently featured prominently on the poster, but the Chinese poster, he's not even on it. I don't think. I think they actually took him off the actual poster. And so when I talk about things like you shouldn't be on TikTok because the Chinese government is all up in that stuff. It's people don't want to take it seriously, but I mean, it's like look at it. They force Hollywood to censor stuff. Actually, that's another thing that was going to be censored was if you watched the Top Gun movie and you liked it, the most recent one, there was an early trailer for that sequel, and in the original movie and the original Top Gun way back in the day, Maverick's flight jacket has a patch that says Southeast Asia tour or something like that, and it's got different flags from Asian nations, including Taiwan, and so in the original trailer for the new one, the teaser trailer, he puts his jacket on and they've taken off the Taiwan flag. And the reason why is because they didn't want to get issues with the Chinese putting the getting that movie released in China. And so what wound up happening is the Chinese company that was helping finance that film decided to drop out of it, and mainly because they didn't want to make a movie that made the U.S. military look good. And so, but they dropped out of it, and so they just restored the patch. And so, that's the danger of stuff because if you want your art to actually mean something, even if it's commercial, you need to try to stick to your values. Yeah, that's another thing, by the way. People talk about the Lightyear movie and how it bombed, and they say, "Oh, it bombed because they're pushing all these non-traditional social values," and it's like they're right. So, much as you may not realize it, um, a lot of people are not super socially progressively left. They're more traditionally based as far as their value systems are concerned. Okay, and then I'm not saying that one's right or wrong, one's wrong. However, if you are going to make a children's movie that's supposed to appeal to families, the majority of which are going to have traditionally focused value systems, then yeah, no one asked for Lightyear. Yeah, nobody had asked. Yeah, that's another thing. Aside from the idea that I'm talking about, nobody asked for that movie. There's no reason to make a movie. It's a stupid idea in the first place. Um, but for Lightyear, they uh the director was like up on Twitter going to war with people. It's like, oh, there was nothing wrong with my movie, and you guys are crazy, and because you're saying that it's got LGBTQ stuff in it, and all, but uh and you're saying that this is supposed to be for kids, and so then he like puts up these images of movies like uh oh, what was it? Oh God, what's that? The Day the Earth Stood Still. He puts up movies like The Day the Earth Stood Still, or he puts up movies like Metropolis, and he says these aren't kids' movies, because actually I asked him. I said, "Well," uh, he says these aren't kids' movies, and they're science fiction. And I'm like, Lightyear is not a science fiction movie, dude. You're the director, and you should understand that Lightyear is an animated Pixar movie, which by default makes it a children's movie. Period. So you can't sit there and say that, oh well, I can have politically left social things in my science fiction movie. I'm like, yes, you can. You can always do that. Obviously, you can do that. However, your science fiction movie is a kids cartoon, is really what it is, and there seems to be a misunderstanding. But here's the thing: I don't necessarily care. I think it's fine that they did what they wanted to do with that movie. It's also fine that no one went to see it, because it's not something that most people want to see. And so this director, who made that decision early on, like Baymax, hey man, don't 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 go down on Bay. Don't go down. That's terrible. Don't, don't diss Baymax. My wife loves Baymax. No, but you're right. The fact of the matter is that Baymax is a kids movie, and it's also a children's movie, and it's a cartoon movie, and it's also science fiction, but it's not predominantly science fiction. It's like Aliens. Is Aliens a horror movie, or is Aliens a science fiction movie? Aliens is primarily a horror, or Alien, excuse me. Alien, Ridley Scott, Alien is primarily a horror movie. It's not a science fiction movie. It is a science fiction movie, but when you're looking at the genre, it is overwhelmingly a horror movie, in my opinion. So, but that's the thing with Lightyear. So, people should make art that they feel is important. They should make bold, brave decisions. That does not mean that you will make money with it. Now, the problem is that a lot of corporations, they're publicly held, and it's important that they put out stuff that is homogenous and appeals to the broadest audience possible. A lot of people don't seem to understand this. I think this is also part of the reason why people like live in a bubble. They think that because they're on an echo chamber where they go to these cocktail parties and these Hollywood parties or whatever parties. My daughter loves Big Hero 6 in movie and the show. Okay, so my daughter loves Big Hero 6 in movie and the show, and the new show has him getting tampons from trans dudes. Is that right? Is that actually what's going on? I have no idea. I did not. Wow. The new show has Baymax getting tampons from trans dudes. Oh my god. Okay. Well, I'll have to look into that. I don't want to look into that. Oh god, I don't want to look into that. But I will have to look into that. So, yeah, no, that's the thing. People don't want. I mean, I'm pretty sure you don't want your daughter watching that, right? Because why would you want your daughter watching something like that? Obviously, so I can't have that. What exactly? That's exactly right. So, I mean, let's think about this, okay? This is what I believe about children, right? You should let children be children as long as possible, because they're only going to be kids once. They're not going to always be kids. And they should be able to have the joy and wonder that childhood brings. So they should be able to discover things naturally. They shouldn't have adult bullshit forced on them. Okay. So, like, okay, look, kids in kindergarten, kids should be learning letters, right? Kids should not be learning pronouns. Why would you want to learn pronouns? Well, the reason you want to learn pronouns is because you don't feel like you're necessarily in the right body genderly, or from a gender standpoint or gender point of view. Children don't think this way. They just don't. Okay, because they're kids. The only reason they would be thinking like this is because adults put that idea in their heads. Just like kids don't necessarily naturally think about Santa Claus. Adults put the idea of Santa Claus into kids' heads, because kids are children. They don't know any better, right? So it's important, in my opinion, to not burden them with things that they're not ready to deal with. Okay. I'm not going to talk to a kid about, someone dying until someone actually dies, I'm not going to, tell girls that they need to wear makeup until they're old enough that it makes a difference in what in their personal self-esteem. Okay. These are things that are just important. I'm not going to give a 4-year-old a pocket knife. I might give a 10-year-old a pocket knife or a 12-year-old a pocket knife, but I'm not going to put things in their mind and put things and make them talk about things that are not age appropriate. And when you make cartoons or programming for children that's not age appropriate, you're destroying the market. Honestly, you're destroying your audience. And let's see, they have another dude ask another dude out. Of course they do. And then it's almost like it's for teen, preteen, Disney adult crowd, same as turning. That's a lot of the Disney stuff appears. Okay, again, crowd, yeah. Again, I'm not saying that Disney doesn't have the right to put this out. I'm not saying that there's not a market to watch it. It's just that ostensibly, when you're putting stuff out for kids, this is not that market. Does that make sense? Anybody watching this? So, I'm not saying that Disney shouldn't do LGBTQ content if they want to do that. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's great. But by the same token, you may not make money with that because the market's not ready for it. Maybe 50 years from now, the market might be ready for it. Maybe even 15 years from now, the market might be ready for it. But when people get upset about the fact that, oh, well, it's not failing, and when you turn it into a political football, what you're going to get is people from both sides of the aisle playing these games where they're saying, oh, this is because your opinion on something socially is wrong. Okay. And that's reductive. But the fact of the matter is that it costs money to make these things. They're not being made. I think a lot of artists don't realize that not everything that they make is meant to change the world, right? Sometimes what you make is just meant to make the world a little bit of a better place. Make it have just that much more joy in it. Just that scintilla, much more of joy. And helping people get away from the daily horrors that they are confronted with all the time. And that's a worthwhile goal. I think a lot of people don't realize this. They want to, do a job or get into a career because they want to, quote, change the world. Changing the world happens when oftentimes you don't realize you're doing it. Okay. People don't really recognize that. They think that I want to be a journalist so I can change the world. I'm like, a journalist tells you what happened is what the journalist is supposed to do. And when you start trying to push things, then you wind up breaking people's trust in you. So, you want to be an investigative journalist, that's one thing, but you can't just look at it and say, I'm going to only find things that I agree with and try to force those things on other people. And this really goes to any kind of career that you may take or any kind of profession you go into. Just do the best you can at what the profession requires you to do. And if you do that, chances are you will change the world. If Johnny Ive goes to Apple because he likes to design widgets, and then one day Steve Jobs walks through his design lab and sees that he's got this one thing that looks cool. Johnny Ive wasn't trying to change the world. He just wound up designing the iMac that changed the world. And that's where this stuff usually happens. People just get wrapped up into it. It's unfortunate, and it's unfortunate because, especially with entertainment, let's see here, they make a certain product, and when you don't make that product anymore, change that product, then you're asking for failure. Absolutely, you absolutely are, because that's you tell someone, hey, here's this thing, and then they say, oh, this is great, I love this thing, and then you say, oh, well, I don't like this thing anymore, and you're stupid for liking this thing that I made you like. Well, that's an abusive relationship, to say the least. And it's also counterproductive if you think that you're going to make some money, because you're not. It's like when they put out new Coke. A lot of people, if you don't know what New Coke is, back in the 80s, you had Coca-Cola, and they decided that they didn't like the formula, or they needed to change the formula to bump up sales. So they came up with a new formulation of Coke called New Coke, and everyone hated New Coke. Some people say that New Coke really is just Diet Coke, but it's hard to tell because you can't buy New Coke anymore, at least officially. So, but yeah, no, it's absolutely the case. So, let me go ahead and take this off. So, yeah. So, anyways, the bottom line is, like, Lightyear, things like that. Socially progressive things that are doing the message. Those have value. The problem for companies that are publicly traded is that they don't have monetary value to the extent that they need to be. I, for example, am a giant Star Trek fan. I love Star Trek. Huge. I grew up with Star Trek. First movie I saw a sneak preview to was Star Trek 6. It's one of my favorite movies. But Star Trek Beyond did not even clear $400 million. So when you spend 150, $200 million in production on a film, and then you spend another at least $100 million on the marketing of the film, so that puts you at $300 million right there. Not to mention all the other different expenses that go into it. Then you are failing, and you're not going to see anything be successful with that. So to me, it's like, you can. I've heard people defend Star Trek Beyond, which, by the way, is an okay movie. It's not a bad movie. It's just not really that good. A lot of people try to defend it, and it's like, oh well, Paramount didn't market it right. I'm like, well, okay, well, no, your movie sucked. People didn't want to buy it. People didn't want to see it. People don't want to see the decisions that you made as per the trailer that you released. Okay. And so, furthermore, actually, Star Trek Beyond came out right when Hollywood was starting to really push it really hard. And one of the ways they did that was they made Sulu gay. Well, Sulu's not gay in the original Star Trek. And even George Takei said Sulu isn't gay. And Simon Pegg was like, well, see, we made him gay. Get it? You're gay. So we made Sulu gay. And like, Takei's like, he's not gay. I am not Sulu. And so, but they pushed this really hard. I mean, they actually leaned into it in interviews about, look at what we're doing. Look at how progressive we are. Look at how we're changing the world. And like, nobody wants Star Trek to change the world. People just want to watch good Star Trek. Good Star Trek changes the world naturally. There you go. And so then, on top of the fact, Simon Pegg wrote a movie where they blow up the Enterprise for the 50 trillionth time. By the way, with Star Trek, I came here for hot dogs, but you're selling me calzones. Hey, well, calzones aren't bad. Anyway, no, but seriously, with Star Trek, it's Star Trek. You're trekking through the stars. So when you make a feature film about Star Trek and you stick them all on a planet and you blow up the Enterprise, and then they're wandering around a planet for 45, 50, 60 minutes, no one wants to watch that shit. Okay. Sorry, Simon. Nobody wants to watch that. The Enterprise is a character. That's the other thing. People don't really understand this. Ships in science fiction are characters. Okay. The Millennium Falcon and the X-Wing fighter are as much characters as the actual humans. And the Enterprise is as much of a character in Star Trek as any of the other actors and any of the other human characters or humanoid characters. And so when you blow up the Enterprise, it's the same thing as killing off a character for no reason. Okay. And in Star Trek Beyond, there was absolutely no reason why they blew up the Enterprise. In Star Trek 3, they blew up the Enterprise as part of a legitimate story concern for what Kirk has to do to try to get his son back and all that stuff. And that's very important. So that's why they blew up the Enterprise there. In Star Trek Generations, they also blew up the Enterprise, but that was the end of the Next Generation show, and they were using that as a an excuse to move forward into much more dynamic designs. So, and they did it at the end of the movie. And both of those situations, the Enterprise was destroyed at the end of the movie. When you blow up the Enterprise at the beginning of the movie, that's stupid. Okay. If Simon Pegg ever watches this, I'm talking to you, Simon. You wrote a movie where you blew up the Enterprise and parked everybody on an effing planet, and you called it Star Trek, and you wonder why it did not globally clear $400 million. You have got to be an imbecile to not understand that. So, but apparently they're making Star Trek 4. Paramount apparently announced that they're making a Star Trek 4, and and didn't even ask the credit. They said all the crew's returning, all the original cast is returning, and nobody from the original cast has been talked to. If you had to recommend one Trek show for new watchers, what would it be? Are you talking about like the show itself, or are you talking about an episode of the show, or both? That's the question. I mean, the obvious answer would be watch the original Star Trek, but that's also was it 50 years old now, 60 years old practically. My favorite Star Trek is Next Generation. Okay, so I would rank the shows as follows. I would rank my favorite Star Trek show is Star Trek Next Generation. I grew up with that. It doesn't mean it's the best. It's just my favorite. I would obviously recommend the original Star Trek after that. So those are kind of interchangeable. Those are the big two. TNG, Deep Space, etc. The Next Generation is better than Deep Space Nine, and it's better than Voyager, and it's better than Enterprise. I think Enterprise is better than, a lot of people don't like Enterprise. There's a lot of weird reasons people don't like Enterprise. I would say Enterprise is better than DS9, but not better than Voyager. I think the way I would rank the 90s track, the 80s 90s track, Next Generation, Enterprise, Voyager. No, actually, Next Generation, Voyager, Enterprise, DS9. And the reason why is because I think Star Trek is, again, trekking through the stars, and Deep Space Nine is not trekking through the stars. Deep Space Nine is a parked space station next to a stable wormhole. And so, it just doesn't do it for me. I know a lot of people like it, don't get me wrong. In fact, one of my very dear friends, a late dear friend of mine, was a gigantic man. He's the one that got me into Star Trek, because I was young and impressionable, and he's like, "Oh, Star Trek's the best." And I'm like, "Yeah, Star Trek is awesome." So anyway, he loved DS9. I didn't ever actually finish it. I was just looking at it the other day on Paramount Plus, and I saw that there were 7 seasons for it, and I think I stopped watching after the 4th season. So anyway, but Next Generation is still good. It's so good. It really is. The first 2 seasons suck, by the way. They've got some pretty bad episodes. Yeah, but I would watch Next Generation. And what's really fun is looking up the best television or the best Star Trek episodes ever made. So many people consider City on the Edge of Tomorrow, which is an original series, Star Trek original series episode, to be one of the finest episodes, not just in Star Trek, but in science fiction of the genre. I concur with that. It's a brilliant show. It's a very, very brilliant show. But one of my favorite shows on Next Generation is Yesterday's Enterprise. I love that episode. It's such a good episode. Then there's some other ones, but anyway, my wife doesn't really remember Next Generation because she was too young for it. But we started watching it again, so it's funny that all the questions she asks me, why is Picard doing this? Why does Data say this? Blah 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 blah. Yeah, it's funny because I'm watching it again. We've just been started this last week. I was watching it, and I was like noticing all the Wesley Crusher in the first episodes. I'm like, oh my god, will he shut up? So I understand why the adults were pissed off about Wesley Crusher, because it's like there's always a Wesley Crusher scene in each one of these early episodes. It's crazy. But yeah, I like Voyager, by the way. I know a lot of people don't like Voyager, but I like Voyager. I thought it was pretty cool having a stranded ship out in the middle of the Delta Quadrant and making them make their way back. And that was, I think, a really great idea and a premise for a show, and I think they did that pretty well. So, although there is an episode where Harry Kim, I believe is his name, gets killed, and then they've got like a replacement Harry Kim. So technically, the Harry Kim that continues with the ship is not the actual original Harry Kim, but they gloss over that. One of the things I do like about Voyager is they also talk about the actually, yeah, this is on. How many hours? 1 hour. I just checked to make sure it's on. Anyway, no, it's on. They actually had they talked about they dealt with the topic of serial killers, of unrepentant murderers in Voyager, and they had a very creepy actor who had like the blackest soulless eyes. But it was a great show, and they really delved into some cool themes. I think I liked the hacked kitchen, the hacked galley was always fun as well. So, but yeah, that's how I'd rank it. A lot of people don't like Enterprise with Scott Bakula is how you pronounce his name. But I love it. It's great. There's, there's a scene. The thing that people need to understand with Star Trek shows, you get to know the characters. They become family members to you. And so once you get to know them and you understand them, then that's where you get the real great moments where a character does something and you're like, that's just like what that character would do, and it's hilarious. And there's an example of that with Bakula's character in Enterprise. At some point, the Enterprise is getting rocked and everything's going crazy, and things are blowing up all over the place, and the Klingons the Klingons hail the Enterprise, and I forget Bakula's captain's name, which is unforgivable, but I forget it off the top of my head. It eludes me. Anyway, he's on the bridge and everything's going to hell, and on screen comes like gets the Klingon. The Klingon says, "Do you surrender?" And Bakula says, "Go to hell." He says, "Oh, go to hell." He hits it and stops it. It's hilarious. So, but I recommend Enterprise. I've watched Enterprise back to front to back. I've watched that entire show. I have not watched all of Next Generation, or excuse me, I've not watched all of DS9, and I've watched most of Voyager, but not all of it. And and then as far as the new Trek is concerned, excuse me, as far as the new Trek is concerned, I watched Discovery, the first season of it, when it first came out on CBS streaming before it's Paramount Plus. CBS Plus, I think it was, or something. Anyway, I watched it, and it's so over the top, especially with the sexual torture thing with the Klingons, the mind raping and all that garbage. Even my wife, who does, she's got a pretty strong stomach when it comes to that, she thought this is awful. So I stopped watching that, and then the next season was getting into, you know, Michael being Spock's sister and all this garbage. It's just like I got turned off with it, and then I think it's funny. It's funny what is your Rubicon with a certain intellectual property. For me, Star Trek has a lot of things that they don't do, and if they're going to make a change and they're going to do something different creatively, there needs to be, in my opinion, a very good reason for it. One of the things that recently happened with Discovery in the last couple of years was because it's a streaming service and there are no network regulations that you have to adhere to, they decided that they were going to drop an F-bomb in a Star Trek episode. And so, to me, it's like, if you're going to do that, you should have a really good reason for doing it. You should have a very good reason story-wise to do it. And what they wound up doing was they had this idiot character flippantly drop an F-bomb and then giggle about it. And I'm like, what the hell are we even doing with this show? And so it's like at that point that I realized it's like, I can't watch this show. This is stupid. I'm just wasting my time. They are leaning super hard into social issues from a very far left side perspective. And I just don't have time for that. I just don't. So that being said, I was watching Next Generation with my wife, and she saw the Strange New Worlds thing and with Pike, and so I did an experiment. She says, "Have you seen that? What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's a new Star Trek show, and it's got Christopher Pike. It's basically Pike. It's the Enterprise before James Kirk was the captain, and so it's a great idea." So, and I hadn't watched it because they had that stupid January 6th news clip on it, which is asinine. And to me, it's like they're going out of the way. They can't help themselves to put garbage like that on it. That just takes you out of the show. Anyway, so I was not going to watch it for that reason. So, but my wife's like, "What's this movie? What's the show?" And I'm like, "Okay." So I said, "You know what? We're gonna do an experiment. I'm not going to tell you what I think about this. I want you to watch it, and you tell me what you think." And it turns out the show's actually 2 episodes in, pretty good. So that could change. But I mean, I expect that Star Trek is supposed to be progressive. I understand that, but usually it's done deftly and with nuance, and that's the best Star Trek. Current Paramount Plus Star Trek chuckle-effery does not qualify. So anyway, all right. Well, I've been on for about an hour or so. Looks like the mic works. I appreciate you, JBot, stopping by, and congratulations on your wrench and being the first moderator of my channel that I'm aware of, at least that I can think of. And I hope you have a great trip out on the weekend there that you're out on. So, but anyway, I don't have any reviews going on immediately, but I will probably have a new review by Wednesday for a comic book. I don't know what it is yet. I might do some shorts as well because those are easy to do. But other than that, everybody have a great weekend. Okay. So thanks again for hanging out with me. And now I got 3 people watching. As soon as I say I'm going to leave, boom, I get 3 people. So whoever's watching, you can go ahead and leave a comment. About later, dude. Oh, now I'm back to 2. I'm back to 2 viewers. Okay, I see how it is. So, but anyway, thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll catch you later. Okay. All right. Take care. Actually, live long and prosper, and may the force be with you. Ooh, wow. Am I nerdy or what? White nerdy.